Hello, everyone. Welcome to our panel. This is a panel on trying to deploy the PM² methodology across the public sector. My name is Marios Kiadas. I am currently involved in a technical support project provided by DG Reform to the Greek government, and one of the main endeavors is to try and establish the project management methodology for the information technology projects that are running or about to start in the Greek administration. And together with me is Ms. Evi Dramaglioti, Mr. Pedro Engracia, Mr. Nicola De Chiara, and I would just give the microphone to each one of them to give you a very brief presentation of who they are, their experience, and to what capacity they attend the panel. So Evi, could you give us a short bio of yourself and the relevance for the panel?
Yes, thank you very much, Marios. Dear ladies and gentlemen, friends, participants from all over the world, I'm very happy to be here with you. My name is Evi Dramaglioti. I'm the Vice President of the Greek Center of Public Administration and Local Governance. I'm a graduate of the National School of Public Administration that functions under the National Center. I hold a PhD on administrative science, and my previous experience is as a Director of European Affairs at the General Secretariat of the Coordination of Governmental Work. Under this experience, I had the opportunity to handle a lot of and manage a lot of projects, of governmental projects, having to do with many policy fields like public administration, economy, education, and other. Now, as the Vice President of the National Center, I work under the training of public servants and also the initial training that the National Center gives to the students of the National School of Public Administration, who are the executives of the public administration in Greece.
Thank you very much, Evi. I would like then Pedro to give us an introduction of himself.
Thank you. I'm Pedro Engracia. I'm 48. I'm a software engineer and was the beginning of my career. Then I have about 20 years of experience in project management. The last 8 as director of the PMO of ESPAP. ESPAP is the shared service company at the Ministry of Finance in Portugal. My education, I have a degree in computer science, MBA in project management, and several specializations, namely in public management, project management, system programming, and business innovation. At ESPAP, I am the PMO and also the data protection officer, and I have also responsibilities on the strategic planning and communication functions. As a volunteer, I am expert at ISO TC 258 about project management. I am the chair of the Portuguese Association for Project Management and also the representative of Portugal at ISO as head of delegation. I'm sorry. I have the privilege to be a judge in the several international awards about project management. I had some experience as international development agent in Africa, and I teach about strategic planning, about project management and innovation. And I'm here because I'm an enthusiast of project management and one of the persons in Portugal that are putting forward everything so we can adopt in all the public administration the project management as an approach. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pedro. Very interesting. And I will now pass the floor to Nicola, and you could give us some introduction about yourself and your involvement in project management ecosystem.
Okay. Thank you to everybody. My name is Nicola De Chiara. I am graduated in economics, and I am an expert in implementation monitoring of European funds. I work just for Italian public administration projects. Since I started work, my work has changed a lot, and mainly thanks to European funds. Initially, in fact, my support was just to permanent staff as a replacement. With European funds, during the different programming period, there has been a gradual change, and all my work is on project and oriented on project management. Today, I collaborate with various national administration. One of these is the Agency for Digital Italy, exclusively for project financed by EU funds, which are very interesting. And my role is different through different administration. In some case, I'm project manager. In other, I support projects. I always worked on project, so what I understood is that the importance of project management and the importance to spread this kind of methodology over public administration. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nicola. Okay, so I have also been working in ICT field, mainly as a project manager and program manager in an agency similar to the one Nicola for Greece. And for the past 4 years, I am occupying the position of key expert in the digital transformation technical support project. So we are all quite relevant to the project management ecosystem. Let's see what we would like to touch upon on this panel. Our approach was to give a brief overview and an insight on what does it mean to apply project management in the public sector in general. We all know that it is not the most easy sector to go and be flexible. And how are these projects treated in the public sector organizations? Is it a mainstream? Are they niche? Do we have dedicated project managers? So what is the landscape in our countries and as an extension in EU countries, and see perhaps some differences? Then we would like to investigate the role and the potential of the PM² methodology. Is it there? Is it used? Are there any plans? Are there any success or failure stories? What are the difficulties? What are the best cases from the point of view of the panelists? We have identified, apart from the methodology, of course, a set of support measures. If you watched several of today's presentations, they highlighted the need to have support measures in order to introduce the change brought about by methodology for running projects in the public sector. And we would like to close with our positions, our recommendations on how to move forward and try and establish the PM² methodology as a key component of running projects in the public sector. I would like to start with Pedro, who is a very experienced project manager and has a key role in the Portuguese ecosystem. So Pedro, based on your experience, and especially as regards the way projects are assigned to employees in non-projectized organizations, not all organizations in the public sector are projectized, the opposite, I would think. Do you think that project management in general is or should be considered a strategic competence for the present and the future?
Yes, and if you allow me, I will decompose the science of project management in 3 topics. One of those is we are recommended to break big problems in small problems that we can understand and you can deal with. And this is something that sometimes we forget to do it when we are addressing big, complicated problems at the public sector. The sentence that we should slice the elephants in pieces it's very applicable to the public sector, because when we talk about the issues in health or perhaps in economics or in social security or at work, we are dealing always with lots of stakeholders, lots of money, lots of problems, lots of legislation, at least in Portugal. And the ability to break the problem in small ones that we can deal with, it's very interesting. But Project management also drives us to analytic thought. I'm sorry, my throat. And to have a mentality of problem solving and to address the issues, try to have a solution. So this approach, it's very important, but I will go through and consider another two topics that I think it's very important. One of those, it's the way we are encouraged to manage stakeholders' expectations. And for that, project management as a discipline connects with communication, with negotiation, with leadership, with servant leadership, with understanding each other and facilitating the communication, with breaking barriers and overcoming stereotypes, and deal with risks and opportunities. And this is something that is not always present at the public sector. From the many years, the public sector was used to have a bossy attitude to the citizens and to deal with the citizens in a one-way communication. And when we bring this kind of skills to project managers at the public sector and to the leadership at the public sector, you got another way of dealing with power and dealing with the government. So this is very important. But there is a third point that I want to stress. It's the focus on the result. Sometimes when we deal with bureaucracy, with many legislation, with many departments at the state, we forgot that our main goal is to deliver results to the citizens. So when we have 3 or 4 key points like the focus on to achieve the goal of the project as a priority, to look at the problem and try to reach different ways, different paths to reach the goals and pick the best one, to look at the benefits more than the deliverables, to try to understand how the team and how the crowd can help to solve the problem. I would say that if we think at these capabilities, these competencies that project management drives to the people at the ecosystem, we see that it's clearly a strategic competence that we want to have at the public sector. And we can see it more clear if we consider the major changes that the European Union is facing at the moment. Well, we cannot skip COVID as one of the main problems. We cannot skip economic problems due to COVID and to another problems that we are facing. The political changes and challenges that we are facing due to Brexit and so on, and the big issue that is the environment politics that we want to put on, like circular economy, zero waste economy, energy produced by green way, more sustainable, more efficient transports, and so on. And all of this is about change. And how can we deliver change in a more controlled way, addressing the concerns of the people at our cities, at our countries, how to address the economic issues that can be raised? Well, always practicing and putting in place a good project management approach so we can address these kind of issues. So, and answering your question, I think that project management should be considered a strategic competence for the present and the future, not only in our countries, but in all the European community. And we have to do bold steps to achieve that kind of achievement. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pedro, for your insightful answer. I'm keeping my notes to discuss at the end of the panel. This is a point where I should remind everyone who's watching, if you want to pose some answers, please do that on the Whova app in the Q&A session, and we will take a look at them and try to answer them accordingly. So I will now question my friend Nicola, who is, again, an experienced project manager in the IT sector. And he's working in an organization that has handled quite a lot of projects in the past several years, and perhaps from different domains. Nicola, how would you describe the process of applying a project management methodology across the organization, and what has been the impact? Was it easy? Have you seen results? What was the rationale behind trying to establish a project methodology to run all those projects you have? And taking into account, of course, the public sector environment in Italy. What has been the case with your agency or other entities there?
Okay, Mario. I start from afar, but I'm not talking about many years ago. The Italian public administration has always been very bureaucratic, and it is based on complex and long procedures. The culture of innovation and investment was not very strong in Italy, and this is why we have strong inequality between North and South in our country. But as I said in my introduction, European funds are very important in our country and have certainly pushed the change of mind in Italy public administration. Europe finance projects must be managed. Otherwise, money set aside for territorial investment are lost. So this element has given a strong boost to cultural innovation toward the organization based on projects. One another element in our country is obviously the digitalization. Public administration now worked with information systems that have seen in recent years the implementation of many projects on it. Best thing is that digitalization projects are also linked to organizational change projects. So all of this must be necessarily be managed. And also for this reason, the culture of project management has spread or is going to spread in Italy. In my opinion, project management is fundamental, but our next step should be to focus on program management, especially in the context of EU funds, European Union funds. The program management is very important because the implementation of project should allow the realization of a strategy. So next step, in my opinion, is that managing the authorities of European programs should be organized as PMOs, and that could be the main challenge in Italy next years. Thank you.
Okay, this was a very interesting suggestion. We also in Greece have a very long experience with European structural and investment funds. And of course, the management authorities play a very important role in how these funds are circulated, managed, and absorbed. I don't think that we in general regard them as PMOs. Perhaps we should. But I take that as a suggestion and write down a couple of questions for you for the next round for this very interesting suggestion. Okay, let's go now to Evie. Okay, of course, we saw that project management is a very important aspect of the public sector organization. It links with organizational capacity. It links with strategy and digital transformation. EVI has a very important role in the National Institute for Training Public Sector Employees. We call ECDA. So could you, Evie, just give us a very brief overview of the role of the institutions and some practical experience in running project management courses? How many have there been? Where have you put your focus in the past few years in training public sector employees in this technique?
Yes. Management has been a sector that GDA works for many years. We have two central directions. The one is the Institute of Training that refers to all public servants, and the other direction is the National School of Public Administration, which is following the work being done by the French Senate. This is our idol organization, let's say, and it prepares the executives of the public service. So we have the training, and we have also to prepare people to get into the public administration body. We have many lessons that have to do with public management, but as for PM², let's say, it's the last years that we work on that, and this has to do with collaborations. I think it's very important to have collaborations and networks in order to get into the knowledge. Our collaboration with the European Commission showed that we have to work more in new management tools. So these last 2 years, we had an info day about this methodology, and we have practiced the methodology through the National School of Public Administration. But again, this is the last 2 years. But the experience is showing that we have to build more on that. People are more than enthusiastic. And I have to say that about the implementation has been studied through the National School, because as a training institute, we have to give more info on the methodology. At the National School, we worked more on the implementation and evaluation of the methodology, and this was very useful. Our two researchers that had the opportunity to present their papers at the conference, and this was a great honor, both for them, both for the National School, worked more on studying on specific case studies and also on reviewing the most popular project management methodologies. What we can see from this simulation is that the application of the methodology in the Greek public administration can be very successful. And we have to try with putting more emphasis on all the stages of the life cycle of the project, of the methodology on each project. Because now we have a first experience of that. We have to trigger for more research, and we are going to do that with our next curricula on the National School. We have just updated the curriculum of the school. Yesterday, we have welcomed the new students, and the phase concerning the project management tools will be even more updated and even more demanding for our new students.
So it includes specific project management training, correct?
Yes, it includes specific management training. It is about 30 hours having to do with this methodology.
Excellent, excellent. I would like to...
Which is quite satisfactory, I think.
Of course. I would like to point out to the attendees, perhaps they did not have the chance to listen to my presentation in the morning, that we here in Greece, we are trying to put together something we call the Greek PM2 hub with the support of the Alliance for PM². And the National School has been recognized as a major stakeholder. And the training of trainers, of persons that would be able in their organizations to promote the principles and the practices of the methodology was one of the tasks that we identified last year, and it is already become a reality. So one of the 3 major actions for the hub is well underway. The second one was an ownership at the high level of the government, which is again established because it is previewed in the presidential decree of the Ministry of Digital Governance. And the next step is we are working on it currently to establish a blueprint for the organization.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
This is very good news, very good news. And I think also that the Ministry of Digital Governance is very willing to support your efforts.
Exactly, they are a core part of the hub, as well as many institutions that are working with ICT projects. let me go back to Nicola and ask him some more specifics regarding the agency and how the methodologies applied there. So I think that we can all agree that an organization like AGID, an agency that is running IT projects for the public sector, cannot properly work without a project management methodology in place. Which one did you use? Did you start with a PM2? Are you running a custom? How did you select? What was the set of criteria that you have used? Have you tried to see advantages and disadvantages? This is, I think, a very common question asked by various potential stakeholders across Europe. Why should we use that methodology in the public sector? We have so many others. The industry and the vendors and the contractors are already using other methodologies. Have you done such an exercise in your agency? And so please, could you give us some insight?
Let me start from what AGID is and answer a question you made me before. AGID is the Agency for Digital Italy and has a role in coordinating the implementation of the Italian digital agenda, together with the Ministry for Digital Transformation. AGID is responsible for implementing the digital strategy, which is one of the ex-ante conditionalities of the 214-220 programming period of the European funds. This activity was initially very complex due to the unstructured and not ready AGID organization to do national coordination. And due to the fact that regions in Italy would be autonomous in spending European funds. So for these reasons, it was necessary to develop a methodology to carry out our coordination role. This methodology involved the definition of a way to address the strategy and a project or program organization to coordinate all projects managed on the territory, in singular regions.
When did that start, Nicola? Sorry to interrupt you. What's the year you're talking about? When did that begin?
We start in 2015.
Okay, thank you.
But the methodology, we start to think about program management methodology on 2017, more or less. The way we used to address the strategy was found in the 3-year ICT plan. That is a plan that each year defines the key action for the digital transformation in our country. The organization otherwise was based on the principles of classic project management and was defined a specific methodology find purposes. Unfortunately, there is no defined standard certification connected with our methodology to understand if people use our methodology works in the right way. But it could be structured on basis of our defined methodology and of course using PM². We organized two different levels of organization. There's a national PMO that coordinates the action provided in the plan and makes support through some assets available to all administration, such as tools or software. And there are regional PMOs that manage projects together with the regional administrations. of course, there's each PMO has its own program manager or a project manager on projects, and also on the asset that Agid makes available to the regions. In this process, we met PM² methodology. Thanks to the Italian community of the Alliance, which we took into consideration, thanks to one of the feature I most appreciate. That is the fact that is a open source methodology. So the availability of customizable models that we have been able to adapt to the Agid organizational need, it was a great thing. The important aspect of introducing a project management methodology is that gave order to the organization and a greater involvement and motivation to our staff, and that was involved in training and other activities according to the methodology. So that was a great thing. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Very, very interesting structure and approach. Here in our case in Greece, we have a similar approach, but the landscape was a bit different. We were using custom methodology all around. No one national, let's say, appointed one or endorsed one. That's why in 2018 we tried to establish a motivation to use one methodology as a guideline. Because the lack of such methodology was identified as one of the major issues, the major problems that resulted in IT project failures. So this is a good example of why should the ministry include such a guideline under its premises, and we are trying to establish it. So it is very good to have the idea of the Italian example.
Of course, it's just in ICT sector.
Exactly. It's a question I will have later on. Pedro, do you think that I will continue your rationale from before or regarding the project management competency, and we saw an example in the Italian case and perhaps a bit in the Greek case, but do you think that the EU and other member states are fully aware of the role that the project manager will play in building a better union as a whole? We saw it as a national level, but at the European level, for example, the case like the COVID pandemic is a good example to highlight the role of such a method of using such a project management mindset, let's say. How does Portugal treat this? How does it fare? And what's your opinion about the EU level?
From my point of view, I think that there is a short answer, that is yes, and there is a long answer, that is no. Why?
Okay.
Well, when we look, for instance, for the development, the development of PM² and make it open for all the community, this is one of the things that shows us that the European community is aware of the importance and is trying to structure the methodology to make it available for all the members, all the countries, and to help us to work in the more standardized way. I will not say all in the same way, but at least with the same guidelines. And this is very important because we are working as a union, as a team, a large team, and if we have the same principles and the same rules, it will be easier to control and to help people to deploy the funds and to develop large projects in a more successful way. Sorry. But there are other examples, and I heard about training. In Portugal, we have incredible work made by INA. INA is the school for public servants, and you may have heard about. They are offering training in project management and the guidelines are PM² aligned since 4 years ago, and they are delivering at least one training each 2 months. So it shows the relevance of the topic in Portugal, and all the people there are in the leadership. They understand the importance of training and raising capacity, so people can go back to the entities where they work, and they put in practice what is the best practice about project management. There are also another indicator that I think it's relevant. When you look for education at the universities in Portugal, there are many delivering at this moment training in project management. We are talking about masters. We are talking about programs of PhD. So it's very interesting. And there are the Portuguese companies, the public sector companies. There are many. There are also putting in practice some methodology. Some of them is already adapting PM² as methodology. For instance, my company, Ashpap, we have a tailored methodology aligned with PM², and we gain big benefits from it. But when I said yes and no, it's because I think there are some issues we have to solve. And for instance, 3 or 4 years ago, we tried to understand how many people are project managers with certification in Portugal. So people that are certified to conduct the action of being a project manager. And we found that we have less than 4,000. This may look like a large number, but
From the public
a
sector, you
small
mean?
consideration of the public procurement. No,
All over.
4,000 in all Portugal.
Okay.
Okay, not only public sector. No,
Okay.
we think that we have perhaps 10% of those people at the public sector. So it's worse. And I was saying, when we look, for instance, at the public procurement and we look for the major contracts, we found out that we need at least 25,000 people as project managers to address all the necessities, all the needs, just in the public sector. A rough estimation may indicate that we need from 75,000 to 100,000 project managers in Portugal to address all the change in the private sector, in the public sector, in the third sector. So when we have this decalage of numbers between 4,000 and 75,000, we see that something is missing. And what is missing? Expertise, certification, training. And this is the point where I think that the European Commission is not fully aware of the need and of the importance of this kind of good practices. I don't know. Maybe there are some, but I'm not aware of. I can't see any privilege, any positive discrimination for companies that are applying good project management practices at the public procurement. I don't see any benefit for the countries that are applying this kind of practices in the managing the funds. So what I think it's when European Union or even the countries launch a call to projects to address one need, they may offer a bonus on the ponderation for the companies that prove they have certified people, or the companies itself are certified as with a good practice of project management. This is a fall that I think that can be fulfilled in the next calls. Other thing, there is no program, as far as I know, to train project managers across Europe. And I think this is something that we should do it. As the national governments are doing it in their scale, perhaps we need a larger European-wide program to train project managers and to help almost everyone who have a decision role to understand how project management is organized and to why project management approach is quite different from doing the business as usual they are used to do. This is my topics. I hope it was clear. Thank you.
Thank you very much. More than clear, and quite a few suggestions too. Let me turn now to Evie again, because as we speak about training, I would to dwell a bit more in the role of such organizations as the national schools. You mentioned, David, that you did a training course on project management and also an information day. You presented that very well also in your speech.
Yes.
The human resources are very important in project management. The students that are arriving at the school, which are being trained in order to hold senior management posts, what's their level? What's their background? How familiar are they with the project management methodologies? Is it something new, a difficult subject for them? Is it something that they're familiar with? I'm pretty sure they are very familiar with public procedures, but are they familiar with the project management processes, tools, and methodology in general?
The profile of the people that are entering the National School of Public Administration has changed over the last years. We have made some research on their profile, and I can say that these last 4 years, we have more people with a multi-year professional experience, but the previous years, like when I was a student of the National School, I was a student of the National School at 2003, there have been more people that were young with not so much experience. Now, because of the financial crisis, we have very experienced people that have been working at the private sector. Most of them, they have been working at the private sector as lawyers or people with an economic background. They have studied at very good schools of economics. They have masters, and some of them hold also PhDs on law or economics. So their level is very satisfactory, and they can follow the PM² methodology and other project management tools. They have many lessons at the school that have to do with public management, project management, and these last 2 years also the PM² methodology, like I said before. Another critical issue is that in order to enter the school, they have to pass some very demanding examinations, and the lesson of the management is a crucial one, not exactly the PM² management, but the management in general as a science. So they have to study in depth in order to pass the exams. That allows them to be even more prepared to follow a more demanding session having to do with more concrete tools. So I think that we put emphasis on that. And I have also to say that there is a new framework, legislative framework, having to do with executive state. And it predicts that we will have a new clados, a new sector of a new category of public servants that would be the most executives, the most, let's say, trained executives of the state. And the law predicts that they will be categorized in 3 specialties. The one specialty will be the analyst of, he will be specified in
business analysis or something.
Yes, one will be digital analysis, the other will be public sector analysis, and the other specialty would be for legal drafters. So the digital analysis sector have to be even more reinforced with lessons that have to do with project management, methodology tools, and everything that is up to date in this policy field. So we are trying to get even more information and innovative knowledge in order to fill in this specialty preparation.
So it's not yet an official project manager public sector profile, but it is very close. And,
it's very close.
it is a good thing, so we can align with Pedro's suggestion. And just to complement the question, because I think Pedro gave me a good idea. Do you plan or have you done any sort of collaboration with other national schools apart from ENA, for example, to exchange ideas, to exchange experiences on this sort of training, on project management training? Would that be a good idea to promote in a European level?
Yes, that would be a very good idea. I have to say that I agree with Pedro because I was studying these days in order to get even more information about PM² because I was not so much familiar. And I found many information about the European experience, the European Commission's experience, but I think that states would love to have even more support with a more European Center of Governance having to do with the methodology. Something even more targeted would help states to incorporate the methodology. We are trying to do that. Of course, we work with the French ENA, but the people that work on the PM² methodology at the national school said that they have a very good cooperation with the PM² Alliance. And they need more guidance in order to build their cooperations, in order to obtain more beneficial collaborations and alliances and partnerships in this domain. So guidance is very useful at this moment.
Okay. Thank you very much. This is most useful. Okay, the elephant in the room, Nicola. Project management methodology in the public sector. The most common issue I have come across is how to align this methodology and the tools to existing public procurement legislation and processes that are in place all over EU due to the directive. The same is the example with the processes from getting funding from the European structural funds. They have their own rules, their own processes. What has been your experience in this sector? Have you managed to bridge the gap to link the PM² methodology and artifact to the public procurement ones? This has been a very important challenge in our efforts here. What would be your opinion?
Yeah. It is a great challenge and it's a great question. In Italy, we are a little bit lucky because AGID is the agency that makes available the guidelines on digital procurement and innovative procurement. So we work on this team. We have been working on the subject for years. And the introduction of an organization I was talking about based on territorial projects was an opportunity for us to integrate this agile fundamental asset. Our logic in the define the guidelines was to define standards for ICT procurement. So we started some territorialized ICT framework tenders that we carried out with CONSIP, that is the National Commissioning Center, and this tender made possible to speed up procurement times and standardize costs nationwide. The companies that have won the framework can be activated by the individual administration on single territories, just with simple operation requests. So the procurement times are very fast. Unfortunately, these frameworks were defined several years ago, and they didn't focus on project management. But we are now starting new frameworks tenders. They have recently been launched. Among with the one in support of the program management office is the most important, I think. We understood that public administration needs support on program management. So we started specific tenders on the STIP. You can find all information on our website and the concept one. In these tenders, we are open to all PM project management methodology, so the PM².
Very interesting. To give you a touch of our endeavors here, it was one of the first things we tried to do in the pilot project we ran, try to see what artifacts of the methodology could be linked to both the structural funds and the procurement law ones. So for example, that one ministry could just fill in one type of document for its business case, and from this document you could feed the technical fish of the structural funds, the procurement process templates, etc., etc. It's still in the early stages, but I think it is a way forward, and it is good that you have incorporated it in your methodologies too. I will now ask a question to Pedro. So we talked about the significance of the project management. We talked about the way that at EU level we could establish some more training and awareness. But taking into account that the general consensus is that the panel is project management is a key competence, a strategic competence, that it should be fully supported to be deployed in the public sector. Do you think that we all that are actually attending here, a project management community, are we fully aware and prepared to play a role, a catalyst role, to be part of this transformation value chain? Can we do it?
I think so. I have some experience in international contacts with ISO and also with other associations. And what I feel from the leadership is that people are willing to help, and they are convinced that they can deliver value to this value chain. And I cannot give many examples from other countries, but I have some experience in Portugal that I may share. And one of the things that I think it's very relevant, it's in Portugal there are no competition between the different project associations. We are collaborating and trying to raise a body of knowledge, not technical, but a framework of agreement that helps everyone to grow and to feed the community with more insights. Another topic, it was incredible. It's an incredible experience. 2 weeks ago, Apogep organized our national conference, and we are used to have 150 people present. At the last one, we have 900, so 6 times more. And it shows that the community it's not only interest, but it's mobilizing to this topic. So I think we are being able to pass the message and to help people to understand the importance of project management. And another example of that, it was a call for volunteers program that we raised here in Portugal, we launched. And from that call for volunteers, we got 15% more members to our association. So it was a large number of people that came to us and say, well, we want to be part of the value chain, and we want to grow up in the what concerns project management. But and let me tell you just 2 more things. One of those is we missed, and I think in Europe we have that gap also. We don't have in Portugal any indicator that shows us how project management is evolving. If there are many companies adopting, if there are many people willing to receive training, how are the salaries paid for project managers in Portugal? So, in collaboration with several universities in Portugal, at this moment there are more than 20, we created an observatory for project management that will publish every year by summer a study about the evolution of project management in Portugal. And we are doing this in Portugal because we don't have it in Europe, okay? Just teasing the people around. We may have an observatory for all Europe. We don't have it now, so we are creating it in Portugal. Perhaps the concept can go through, and in a few years we have it in Europe. And at last, in the last few months, we have many contacts with people interested to receive training about PM². Because in Portugal, and I think it's not only in Portugal, people are looking for PM² as the methodology of European Union and the chance to implement a transversal, almost unique methodology that can work as a Esperanto for everyone around. So we are setting a program with the help of PM² Alliance and Nikos and Jose, so we can train at least 12 trainers in the beginning of the year and start delivering courses before summer, perhaps, to feed and to attend this demand. So when we ask, are you ready? Are we as community ready to endorse this challenge and to be part of the transformation value chain? Yes, we think so, because we are committed, we have knowledge, and the community is growing, so we will have manpower to staff the projects that are coming. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pedro. So we are closing up on our available time. Let me pass the floor to Evie for some final remarks. Perhaps you could give us your recommendations on the next steps, not only from your position as the National Center, but since I know well that you have also been serving at government coordination level, perhaps as a consumer of project management services, would you give us some remarks on what would be the next steps for this methodology to be deployed in the public sector?
Yes, I think that the most important thing is to coordinate projects. I have this experience and I know how difficult it is to coordinate demanding governmental projects. We have used many methodologies. The problem, let's say, is that we don't use one single methodology or a set of similar methodologies. So I think it's very good to build more knowledge on this methodology, since we all can see that it has a very solid foundation. We can trust it because it comes from the European institutions, and that give us a kind of trust to use it even more. And I think that it has given very good results because it is based on a very effective governance of the projects. We cannot see many methodologies being so effective at all the stages of a life cycle of a project. So I think that we need even more support in order to use it in more projects. As far as I can see, my personal experience is that we have seen very good results by the implementation of the methodology, mainly at the sector of finance and of the digital transformation. We have seen some projects based on the methodology at the Independent Agency of Public Revenue. At this agency, we need results, we need cost-benefit results, so people trusted the methodology. But we should use it even more. Now at the National Center of Public Administration, we are elaborating on a new program that will be available for public servants. And we need guidance on designing the new program, because we want to train the trainers programs. As Pedro said, we have some certified trainers, but we need more trainers, more Greek trainers, in order to do the job. So we will use the PM Alliance expertise, and we will try to reach even more people coming from the European Commission. And we hope that we will get very good results in this near future.
Okay, Thank you very much. We are almost finished up on our time. I would like to thank the panelists and everyone who has attended. We have some interesting questions in the Hoover app, which we will all answer, hopefully, following the end of the session. For me, the main points are that PM² is a methodology that is fit for purpose. It can be supported. It can be utilized in the public sector, and it has a good opportunity to grow. We need support measures. We need collaboration at European level. And we need the mentality to try and push over the usual obstacles of the public sector, bureaucracy, etc., etc. I would like again to thank you all for your valuable contributions. If we had 1 more hour, I think we would still be here discussing topics. Perhaps see you next year at the conference. And we will be happy to answer the questions posed in the chat. Thank you very, very much. Have a nice remaining of the conference, and see you on the field.
See you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.